1 second, let me load the social media stream. I think we're going live. All right, well, that's good. Well, welcome to Qi Talk. My name is Cohen. I'm a medical Qigong practitioner and energy healing coach. And this talk is about health and healing. I've been helping people heal from chronic health condition. This is what I do one-on-one, and I also work in group classes, workshops, and teach Qigong, energy healing, part of traditional Chinese medicine. And at this talk, the reason of this talk, the purpose of this talk is to spread the word of health and healing and to awaken the healer within us. This was part of my own healing journey. And always at different times, we're focusing on different topics in traditional Chinese medicine and energy healing and Qigong. And it's about to educate and spread the word and inspire you guys for participating in self-care and self-healing practice. This is actually an essential part of being happy and healthy and long life. This is part of a very dominant, very cardinal part of Chinese culture and Taoism. Is everybody bless each other with happiness, health, and long life. And part of preventative medicine is participating in the practice either of Qigong or any practice that has this healing effect or preventative medicine. So our topic today is how to transform struggles and emotional triggers or struggles into opportunity, into blessing. This is very strong part of traditional Chinese medicine, of Taoism. And I wanted to take this conversation from, I think we started this conversation 3 weeks ago when we talked about what Qi is from a psychological standpoint. And I want to take it a little further today and to really kind of delve deeper into this whole notion. We all want to be happy. We all want to live a healthy life and happy life and purposeful life. And this is the second talk of 5 talks. So this is there's 5 talks, and all these 5 talks are devoted to this big topic of how to get more energy. We always use this term: I have energy, I don't have energy. I'd like to get more energy, but there's dips of energy during the day and we don't know why. So these 5 topics are along these lines of how we go about living in every day in a happy, fulfilled, energetic state. So last time we talked about balancing yin and yang. And if you haven't listened to that, that's a very powerful conversation. That was last week. And everybody that practiced Qigong, or everybody that even doesn't practice Qigong, I find it's very important to listen to this conversation. If you can go backwards and listen to the last week, that would be kind of like almost a prerequisite for this topic for this week. So this is the second topic, and we were talking about again about the energy and how to get energy and how to work with your own energy consciously, so you can live a happy, healthy, and long life. So let's start with a little bit of a ceremony, like we always do. And our little ceremony is just about mindfulness, about getting into the body. So if you're sitting here now, just kind of comfortably close your eyes. It's very easy way to kind of come into your body by closing the eyes and just noticing any physical sensation that you experience on the body. When we say physical sensation, we mean anything that is tangible, like heat or cold or heaviness or density or flowing or ache or pain or numbness, anything that we can say it is physical, anywhere in the body. And go and open yourself and listen, really listen. So when we come and from a mindful perspective, we come with curiosity, like a mother listening to the child, trying to really understand, really listen, truly listen, without wanting anything else to be, just listening to what is. So going around the body and kind of like, you can focus on one point and kind of be curious about it. Or you can travel around the body. You notice, where are you today physically? And what you notice is that the body has different areas, different parts, and every area feels a little different. So just explore the aliveness of the body beyond the label of good or bad. The aliveness of the body as it is. If you're curious about an area, just go deeper there and kind of investigate it, not from a label standpoint. How does it, is it good or bad? Not from a judgment place, but from really understanding, is it from just a sensation wise, is it how strong it is, the sensation? Is it hot? Is it cold? Is it numb? What is it? Maybe notice any tension in the body. Maybe the shoulders are a little tense. Can you relax them? Maybe the jaw. Notice if there's any tension in the body as you sit here now. Can you relax it? So as we come with pure curiosity, we're starting to find all kinds of things we haven't noticed before. The belly, is it soft? Is it constricted? And as you travel through the body, see if you can notice the breath in different areas of the body. And let's use the breath in a more Taoist meditation way. As we go into an area that we want to emit more healing, we inhale to that area and we send love and light, and we exhale the tension out. So when you inhale, you're taking air from the environment, from outside, and it's a neutral air, it's a healing air. When you exhale, tension from this area melts away. A lot of time in the Taoist type of meditation, we elicit an imagery, an intention, and that tends to manifest in the body if we're coming from a very calm yin state. Inhale from a very beautiful spot in nature into that space. Exhale stagnant qi away. Nice. Let's slowly open our eyes from that deep spot. Yeah, beautiful. Nice. So that's a very short meditation, a very Taoist meditation. So let's start by talking about what we talked about a few weeks ago about what Qi is, what energy is, and we all want energy. And energy is really, if you ask scientists what energy is, or they would tell you that it's tension, between plus and minus. If you think about a balloon, the balloon has a lot of pressure of air, and the air outside of the balloon doesn't have as much pressure. So when you open the opening of the balloon, the air flows out, and that's energy. So there's two areas with difference in pressure, difference of energy, and what the universe always tries to do is to reach a state of equilibrium, and that would create an energy flow. That's why there's a waterfall. The waterfall is between different heights of Earth. The Earth here is higher, the Earth there is as lower, and because there's water flowing, the water would fall, and the biggest the difference, it would create more energy. So energy is really tension between two places. And from in the human realm, it's the same. When I'm feeling thirsty, what do? How do I address my thirst? I take a glass of water and I drink it. That action by itself is the energy. I feel some sort of tension, and I release the tension by doing something that would equalize that tension. But if you have a baby that doesn't know, he's feeling hungry, he's feeling thirsty, and he doesn't know, so he cries. He doesn't know how to satisfy, and the belly the mouth become dry, and maybe the belly become hungry, and the baby would cry. And if there will be no mother here to think that maybe the baby needs water or food, the baby would stay in that state of tension and would move into a stress response and contraction over time, and it would continue to cry. And so when we know how to transform our tension, it's very easy. It's very easy. We go and drink water, we go and take food, and that satisfy, and this is what energy is about. When I'm feeling like very stagnant in the body, I'm like, hey, I might need to go for a walk. And then I go for a walk and I feel a little better. So this is how we work with energy. Just wanted to, so energy is really tension. That's what energy is. And there's more complicated situation, right? There's complicated situation like emotional stress, a worry, an emotional trigger that we don't know where it comes from, depression or anxiety, and we have all kinds of ailments, or things that come from the outside, like this pandemic, and we get very, very stressed out because we're kind of like this crying baby. We don't know how to transform this energy. We have a lot of unknowns, and the mind starts to project into the future. What would happen in the future if this continues? And this is what kind of like intensify the suffering, the tension, and creates hypertension. So overtension is not good also. We call it stress, right? And stress has a lot of implication. There's actually 90% of all doctor visits are stress related. So, and all ailments a lot of elements are stress related. So whenever the tension cannot be transformed, there's over tension, over stress, and we go into this stressful mode, and there's a bunch of things happening in the body and the mind. We actually cannot think clearly when we're stressed. If you think about what stress is a perception of the environment, and we're feeling like we're locked in a place with a bunch of people. There's no sense of space of clear thinking, and the hormones start to work a certain way. The digestive system kind of locks. You cannot absorb nutrient. There's muscle tension start to build up, and all the bad hormones starting to kind of charge up. Yeah. So it wants to really, we're going into the survival mode. We're going into the stress response, and the energy goes to the muscles. So we call it the fight or flight response, because back in the days, when you saw a threatening animal, the energy has to go to the muscles so you can run away or fight it. So basically, the energy goes out from the internal organs and out to the muscle. And this is why we are tense when we are stressed. Why we tense? Why we're feeling tension? A lot in Qigong, in yoga, we're doing stretches to open tension, because there's built up of stress. And the more we're sitting all day in front of the computer and not moving, the more we're thinking, the cerebral mind create the abyss, we say. So a lot of the stress response is related to projecting into the future, worry, things like that. And that's anxiety, depression, things like that coming from there. So it's very interesting how these things work. But really, if we want more energy, and things always flow like that. So before I talk about the more energy, things always flow between yin and yang. Yeah. So the clouds form, and there's rain, and then the sun comes out. So in nature, Taoism and Taoists were kind of like scientists. So they were seeing how nature works, and they apply it into the human realm. So it's really looking at, and this is the birth of the yin and yang, of the duality of life, how energy transform into each other, into one another. Yeah, how a day transform into night transform into day, sadness into happiness into sadness, chaos into clarity, frustration into. So all of these things are flowing into each other, and that's what creates energy. So energy is being created by differentiation of states, right? Like we said with the balloon, the pressure inside of the balloon, outside of the balloon. And so things are always there's always be tension and release of tension and release of things are always would flow from yin to yang, from yin to yang. And that would create life, because without this flow of energy, we don't have life. Yeah, life, the purpose, the reason that there's life is that there's duality, there's two forces, and there's a flow of energy between one force to another. Yeah, and I remember we talked about it. Can you imagine watching a film there's not a, what do we like when we go out to watch a film? We like the drama. We like how the heroes are succeeding, are in a place of despair or frustration, and then they going up and down. So this flow of energy, as we say, oh wow, this very energetic movie, or there's other movies that are not so much interesting because they have a very low energy. So high energy, low energy. We always want high energy, but we want it, but we cannot contain it. So so our container, it's like looking at the table and seeing all the food, and you want to eat it all, but your stomach is that big, you cannot eat it. So it's a little bit of an oxymoron. So we want all this energy, but we also afraid from, and it's really down to how do we respond to life. Because if I'm thirsty and I don't know how to satisfy my thirst now. I don't know that if I go to the faucet, drink a cup of water and drink it, that would satisfy my thirst, and I will get stressed out. That stress will not help me. That stress would not help me. It actually makes me even worse. I remember when I was studying how to scuba dive, he said to me, the trainer said to all of us that usually people that are just starting scuba diving, they're finishing their oxygen tank very fast because they're very stressed and they're inhaling a lot. They take a lot of the air. They don't inhale very slow like you should, because you are first time you're really afraid. You're underwater, like really deep, and the stress response kicks in. You look up and you see the water and you're down there and it's scary. So you really inhale and exhale a lot, and you finish the gas tank twice as fast as other people that are experienced diver. And you see the experienced diver and they're relaxed and they're looking at the fish. And you are really struggling with you taking a lot of energy, and actually you are less creative, right? The stress response makes you actually not able to help yourself. I remember when a person kind of lost his mask, and it's if he was calm, he could look around and find it and bring it back to the mouth, but the stress really really didn't work for him. So the same goes for life, and we getting all these triggers, like the pandemic, for instance. It's very easy because it was very recent. It was very worldwide, so it's very easy to talk about the pandemic, the coronavirus pandemic, and how we got stressed out, and how do we deal with each life circumstance. And really that is how that's really how do we go about transforming energy, and how do we get better at this, and how do we get better at triggers and life circumstances and all these outside stressor. And our mind is thinking so much and projecting into the future, usually negative thoughts. There's actually 80% of your thoughts, that was a research found, that 80% of your thoughts are negative. 80%, because we are the kids of the people that if something would rumble around the bush and they were thinking it was a bear, they escaped. So these people survive. And so always to think about something bad happening, that was kind of like a survival mechanism. And we took it, even though now we don't need it, we still have this kind of response of negativity. So that brings in mindfulness practice, because if we want to deal with life in a better way, we need to work not only with our psyche, but with our body, with the stress response. We want to be in an energetic space of a lot of energy. Yes, because when we are stressed out, we're not creative. Yeah, think about going into a job interview and you're very stressed out. You wouldn't be the best, right? You wouldn't be very sharp like you were, like what you did if you weren't very stressed out. So our mental capacity get reduced in stress, digestive system don't work well. There's a multiple effects happen in the body. And really, if we can embrace what we experience, and we can trust the process, and we can calm our nervous system down, we can enlarge our stomach, that stomach that was very small with the big table. How do you increase the container? In Qigong, a lot of times, how do you can absorb more energy? How can you become a bigger container for energy? How can you open up your stomach? So when you see all this food, you can actually eat it and digest it. How can you become that? And that is to work on this on this topic. So this topic is really about how to work with your, what we call the problems in our life. And if you think that you don't that you have too much troubles or problems, and you shouldn't have, everybody has problems and issues, and these are the reason for energy. These are the sources of energy. So the triggers, so in Qigong we say these triggers, these places, you should put attention to them, because these are the places where you can actually get more energy, working on these areas. And how to work on these areas better is to incorporate self-care practice into your daily routine. Qigong, meditation, all these practices. We talked about yin practices last week a little bit. We talked about between yin and yang, how to navigate, how to do everything you do in life like you're doing Qigong, how to wash your dishes like the same way you do Qigong. How do you walk in nature? How do you walk on the beach? Yeah, and we talked about it last time, how to go about everything you do in life in a balance between yin and yang, how to do anything. So I really want to kind of have you guys, if you haven't listened to the last talk, is very powerful in terms of like how to do any activity in your life. It should be between yin and yang, a balanced state. And when we take care of our nervous system, we can be better about looking at these places and responding differently than what we would respond before. So this is kind of like, I don't know if it's very clear, but really what I'm trying to say is that these area of struggles, of problems, these are the jewels. These are the places to transform life. It's just like the balloon. It's just like this is all the energy wants to get transformed. We can contract and be afraid from it, or we can decide to respond to it differently and ask the question, what would we take to shift it? What would it take to have this as a blessing, to have this as an opportunity? For a lot of people, this pandemic become an opportunity, and for some people not. But we can change it with our mind. We can change by how we respond to life. But first, we have to take care of our nervous system, how our nervous system respond to it. And to be better at that, we need to incorporate mindfulness practice into our life. So this is a little bit, wow, I talked a lot. I talked a lot. Anybody wants to chime in or ask question about this or anything else? Yes, Gail, good to see you.
Okay. I'm going to say this because this is so important, what you're speaking to. And I want to acknowledge you for bringing our attention to the world, our world and the world, which is out of balance. And balance is so important. So I'll kind of travel back to reflect on what you brought about, what you said with regard to babies. Babies are instinctive. They don't have the capacity to think. And we have that capacity to think. And unfortunately, we're being fed a lot of fear. And to embrace and incorporate fear into our lives definitely puts us out of balance. So without me talking too much, I will say this one aspect that I've learned, and that is, as humans, as adults, we have to recognize first that there's a problem and acknowledge how we are experiencing that problem. And then, now this is key, and this is the hardest for me, it has been for years, forgive the aspect of what the problem, how it impacts us, and then change. So recognize, acknowledge, forgive, and change. And I can go into a story, but I won't take up the time for that. These are the 4 points to actually forgive yourself if that's necessary, or forgive the other, not the what, but the why. Because a lot of people are out of balance and are performing or acting, how can I say, I want to say inappropriately, but it's appropriate for them because it's out of pain and there's too much pain in the world. So to forgive the pain, whether that be our pain or their pain, and allow, once the forgiveness is there, then change can happen. And out of change comes choice. And you've given us a choice. And the choice is, okay, how do we release the tension? I use various methods, of course, Qigong, and for me now, the pool, I do my aquatherapy, but we have many choices. So either we run with the fear, as you say, the yin and yang, or we run with mindfulness. What is it that we're choosing? What's our intention? And what are we paying attention to? And now I'll shut up.
Wow, Gail, thank you so much. Well, it's very nice to hear your voice. So you can, it's okay that you took you the time. I love the talk about forgiveness. This is such a big, 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 big. We hold ourselves in such critical view for so many of us unknowingly, and forgiveness is really a major step towards acceptance of what's going on, and really. If anything is, yeah, I took a lot from what you said. This is beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. I don't need to add anything to what you said. It's just beautifully said. Anything else? Anybody wants to chime in on this one? Ask a question. Any question about Qigong, about this subject? So really, if you have a lot of problems in your life, that's great. That's a lot of potential for energy. And nobody has no problems. And your problems is really the source of the energy. And how do we respond to them? How do we open to them? How do we listen to them? Kind of like in the meditation we did. And how do we calm our nervous system around them? And forgive and work with and these are the points. Yes, Bart, I see you raising a hand there. Yeah, was that purposeful, or yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it was purposeful. Yeah, just about solving problems. When you have problems, you have to have the courage to acknowledge that you have them, that they're there, and then you can solve them with forgiveness, or you can solve them intellectually and energetically. So for me, often it's not easy to know what way to solve them. You know, and the difference between solving them intellectually or energetically or spiritually with forgiveness practices, or I use Ho'oponopono sometimes.
Yeah, beautiful. No, that's a beautiful kind of question. It's like, how do we go about going into these problems? How do we do it? Do we meditate? Do we do Qigong? Do we go through psychotherapy? You know, do we talk about it? Do we, you know, there's a whole practice called Shen Gong, working with the consciousness, which is a little bit, it's a little different than therapy, but it's still working with consciousness. And there's Shen Gong or Qi Gong, and there's different methods, and everybody respond differently to all these practices. But what I've experienced on myself and people I work with is, whenever we calm the nervous system, when we work with the body, when we work, because the psyche, whatever you feel, it reflects into the body. And whenever we work with the body, especially in Qigong, also meditation, there's more capacity for change. Yeah. Otherwise, if we're not relaxing the nervous system, if we're still in some way of a stress response, we are still in a survival mode. It's very hard to step out of our comfort zone into a new territory, into a territory of trust, of hope, of change, because it takes energy to change your life. It takes energy to choose a different step that you haven't taken before, to choose the choice that you usually don't take. It takes energy, and to have this energy, you cannot be in a stress response. You cannot be you have to be in a place of abundance, and so I did a workshop in the past about emotional, and we talked a little bit about the Shen Gong of the 3 questions, like, am I safe right now, or my life is being threatened? Do I have people that love me? Do I have everything I need? Do I have enough food? So if, these questions are a good question to ask yourself, to say, hey, I love people, they love it, satisfy all the different, the brain. We talked about the reptilian brain, the neocortex, and I'm not going to get into this whole discussion, the Shen Gong, but there's ways to calm the nervous system from the body, the mind, and then to choose something else from a place of mindfulness. So that would be yes, Wendy, you raised your hand, I see.
Yeah, I did mean to do that. Just one little story that seems to relate to what Gail was saying and what you're saying, Ellie, and that is, in our community, there were recently 57 horses that were rescued from mistreatment. And they're all from one place. They're underfed, and they had lice, and their feet weren't cared for, and all these different things. And now the sheriff of the community is taking care of them, soliciting volunteers from the community to help feed and water and clean. And this has been about 5 weeks now, and they're doing much better. But this idea of self-care, in a way, assisted self-care. I went out this morning and was brushing some of them, and they are very skittish. They haven't had much handling. But as I was brushing one, others, and this kind of relates, I think, to the fear in our society, others would start to gather. And at one point, there were about 3 others gathered around, sort of exhaling on me, or kind of nudging me, or kind of trying to nibble on the brush, like, I'm next. And just that attention to this kind of care, like, really drew, even though they had just gotten their hay, they stopped eating and they gravitated toward this calm sort of stroking, and it was just really beautiful. And it just seemed to be an image that could apply to some of the topics from today.
Oh, beautiful. I love it. Thank you, Wendy. That's beautiful and very appropriate. Bart, do you have your go ahead? I see that you're.
Yes. When you say when you talk about problems, I think of, for example, relationship issues or relationship problems. Do you use physical Qigong exercises to solve them, or do you use meditation and mindfulness, or what?
I use a combination. I actually use a certain type of Qigong that we used in the past, and I use kind of like a combination of Shen Gong with Qi Gong, and I use visualization. Like in relationship, I would bring my partner into the field of energy, and I would ask the question. I would start to meditate on it. Like, what would it take to shift this? What is the energy that needs to be shifted? How can I respond differently to what's going on? How can this relationship able to heal? And I usually would do it with movement, very, very mindful, very like a Qi ball. In the Qi ball, there will be the relationship. And when I open to the place of opportunities. When I close, I choose. So I ask myself a question. Question is very powerful. When you ask a question, what would it take to shift it? What can I do? What is and see the future, and see if there needs to be more love, it needs to be more care, or what is the, where is the energy stuck and how it could flow. So I would do a combination of meditation, of movement. I would bring the energy, the partner, the person you work with into the field, and really do a powerful, and the partner would feel it. And they usually feel it. That I a lot of times I got responses like that. All of a sudden it's amazing. All of a sudden they're very nice to me. Or they really love me or do something, and I'm like, wow, I just was emitting love and intention, and all of a sudden they came to me, and I had it, people, it's happening all the time. So the energy, so I think you can get a lot of wisdom and a lot of answers to issues while you work with mindfulness practice, with a lot of love, with a lot of listening, with curiosity, kind of like curious to this pain here. Yeah, when we just listening, things starting to shift without wanting anything. Because when the relationship is not going good, you want something to be different. And that drive, that force doesn't allow the energy to open. And listening and understanding what's going on, and opening, so shifting from yang to yin, and the craving for this pain to go away is actually keeping it in. So a lot of time we need to change the attitude. And so mindfulness and yin practices and asking questions and smiling and love, it always heals, always heals. And relationship, yes, Gail. Did you raise your hand?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
To just add something, Bart, with relationships, and it's difficult because we have a point of view where we feel that our perspective is right, and to let go of the need to be right and embrace the need to be loving. Therein lies the choice. Do I want to be right, or do I want to be loving? And it's reflective. That's one. The other aspect is, if there is a difficulty or a form of contraction, because relationships wax and wane, and if there's a contraction at night, as Ellie has said with regard to mindfulness, you can actually talk to your partner, their subconscious, late at night as you lie in bed. You can speak to them and tell them what your desire is, how you want to resolve, looking for resolution to whatever the discord is. So it's the harmonious resolution of dissonance. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, thank you.
Beautiful. Yeah. So yeah, we have our patterns for sure, and I like the note about transforming. I always say transforming judgment or being right into curiosity. Curiosity really changes things, and curiosity towards yourself and on the other. Always, I found. Wow, we went overboard and overtime a lot. So, but it's such engaging conversations that I really, really appreciate it. So next week we're going to talk about another topic about, energy. And so let's finish with hands on the heart and close our eyes and just kind of come into a closing ceremony and just feel the hands on the heart center. And take a deep breath into that touch. Touch is very important. We touch ourselves in Qigong is always from a place of gentleness and care. Kind of like the story of the horses. I love that one. So touch yourself, touch your heart, and inhale. What would you like to inhale from this conversation? What would you like to take from it? And what would you like to, if there's any commitment to a new practice or to something that you want to put more attention to in a different way? How can we bring more ease, more light, more love into different areas? How can we relax around what we call problems? How can we, and that's also an invitation to come and practice Qigong and to see how that changes the way we engage with life in a more healthy way. So with that kind of energy, let's open the hands and open the eyes. Beautiful, guys. Thank you so much for joining. It was really fruitful. Thank you so much for sharing from your own wisdom, and I'll see you next week. Bye, guys.